Welcome back to the boardroom. Take a seat, pretend you're listening. On the docket today, man, anybody remember when giving your fingerprint used to be for crimes and now it's to unlock your phone, right? And that's kind of what I want to get into today, okay? The death of privacy and why we should all be screaming about it. But unfortunately, I see this overwhelming sense, this culture of just accepted surveillance. And it is absurd, in my opinion, right? Because privacy didn't just vanish, it was sold. And that's kind of my larger point here, because we're not just being watched in this country and many of them. And you have to understand, if you look into like the global goals of like the World Economic Forum and stuff like this, the New World Order, it's not even just countries at this point. It's like it's going to be a global system, especially on the trajectory that we are currently on, and it is scary the pace that it is advancing and just how blind most people are. And I'll get into why, because it is dressed up in a very specific way so that the masses are blind to this, because you're not just being watched. Okay. Like you think the death of privacy means cameras on the corner of a 7-Eleven or to make sure you're not stealing from a Target or something. Dude, it goes so much deeper than that, man. So much deeper than cameras. Okay. You're actively being studied, everything about you. Yes, cameras on every corner, but also microphones in every pocket. I'm sure I don't have to explain to most the Patriot Act, okay, and just how much of an overreach by the US government this actually was, and how it was framed as, oh, we need to surveil for potential T words, blowing things up, you know what I'm saying? But all it was a pretty little package on one of the largest overreaches by our government in the history of, surveilling the population, right? Because your phone pings your location more faithfully than your friends check in on you. Okay, you have got to understand this. And for those who think that you can just slap your phone on airplane mode and you're good, you're hiding from the government, dude, you are in for a world of hurt. Okay, the next best bet would be like this kid I knew in high school who would wrap his phone in tinfoil every day. He was a literal like tinfoil hat guy. I'm not even playing. And maybe there was some, reasoning for it because too many people are asleep at the wheel, man. And that's why I feel like I got to address this. But if you think about it, when you download an app or something, they don't just want your name. And again, that brings up another point that I have, and I always make the willingness of so many people to hand over their real information to these apps and websites and what is essentially just databases on the back end is it just blows my mind, dude. And I do attest this to being raised with what my dad would say, a healthy level of paranoia. Okay, don't trust too easily. Always remain cautious. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't walk with headphones in. Always wear laceable shoes. Have like a EDC everyday carry, a little ensemble, maybe some waterproof match. Okay, we're getting intense here, but a part of that was to have aliases. And no, this is not because secretly you conduct espionage and you need to duck from law enforcement. That's not what I mean. If you get pulled over for rolling through a stop sign, do not give the police an alias. Okay, I'm not encouraging this. What I mean is you don't have to be you online. Okay, if your name is John Doe, you don't have to sign up for everything as John Doe. Okay, they would be none the wiser. And the fact that a lot of people don't practice this very easy, like minimal line of defense. I'm not saying it's going to stop everything because it doesn't, but it at least could protect your real name should there be a data leak or something, a backdoor and information gets stolen and whatnot. There are services out there for free that I use that will provide aliases for your actual email. right? So if I ever sign up for anything, let's say you sign up for Hulu, right? Why would I put my real email? No, I just go to this web service that provides an alias for my real email and I sign up with the alias. Do you see what I'm saying? And it redirects all mail to my actual inbox. And at any moment, I can turn on and off this alias and it will stop letting things through to my actual email. And if you ever delete the alias, you'll never get anything from that again. Now, obviously, there might be more steps involved, like you have to remember these aliases, and that's where pass keys and programs to store all of this come in, and you memorize one master pass. Don't have it like freaking turtle 1 2 3 4 giraffe. Don't do stuff like that, dude. I mean, there's just so many practices that it really bugs me so many people don't do. And we're gonna get into some of those things, right? But back to the apps, they don't just want your name, which you shouldn't give out anyway, but they want your fingerprints, okay? Like, do you want to unlock the app or be able to sign in via fingerprint, right? They want your shopping habits. They want to see what you look at and for how long, what sites you go to for targeted ads. Everybody's like, dude, it's so crazy. I was just talking about dog biscuits, and then I got an ad for dog biscuits. I mean, that's insane. It's like they're listening. Dude, they are listening, big man. Like, I connect the dots already? Come on, man. I understand some of you guys are boomers, but dude, you have got to understand it's not like they're listening. They are listening constantly, 24/7. Do you not understand that a lot of these smart TVs, even when they're turned off, the CIA and three-letter agencies have access to turn your smart TV into a microphone and listen even when it's turned off? Do you see, like, this is so much deeper than what people even understand. And the craziest part is that the information is out there. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't even have to trust me. I'm just a guy on the internet with fucking face tattoos. So you might as well just disregard anything I ever say, because I'm a walking red flag. But anyway, the information is out there. So I'm just going to relay some of what I know, But they want all of this information from you. And it's not even just for targeted ads. It's also for 24/7 surveillance, okay? But it's dressed up as personalization because they do give you that much. They do show ads that you might click on for products you might be interested in, right? They curate your algorithms for things that you agree with, right? And this causes another problem because a lot of people just get into their echo chamber, right? If you're on the left, you see leftist stuff and it just solidifies your beliefs. And if you're on the right, same thing. And, nobody's getting real information anymore. Everybody has a curated feed so that they are in their own little bubble where they feel safe and they feel like their opinion is the right one. That's why none of us can get along and communities have all but dissolved, and we can't be friends anymore because this guy has a red hat and that person has a Harris bumper sticker, so gone are the days of being cordial, especially in public, And we didn't just lose privacy. That's probably the biggest thing here. We auctioned off our privacy for 2-day shipping and a smart speaker that tells us the weather. Hey, Alexa, do I need a rain jacket today? You know what I mean? Or what's the forecast? Like that kind of thing. Meanwhile, Alexa is jotting down your conversations like an FBI intern. You have got to understand this. Why do you think you can just say, hey, Alexa, and then bloop, it automatically is ready? Do you understand that is because it is listening all the time? You think just because you don't preface whatever you're about to say with, hey, Alexa, it's not recording? Really? Come on, man. Like, don't be that naive about the world around you. Why do you think they push for all of this smart? Why do you even think they call it smart? It's convenient. It saves time. It's so you can cook and also ask Alexa about tomorrow's forecast rather than have to wipe your hands, dry them off, pull your phone out, look at the forecast. It's sold as convenience, but it's really just surveillance, okay? We gave up our front door keys, right? Because Face ID was quicker than typing in 4 numbers. But do you see the issue with this? We volunteer our face into facial recognition software because it only takes 1 second as opposed to 6 seconds. Dude, where do you think that information is going? That's bioinformation. That is your face, dude. How do you know there's not some underground lab cloning you? That sounds insane, I granted, but how do you know? How do you know, man? That's why I have never and will ever, as cool as it is, and I really do think it's cool, do these DNA testing things like 23andMe and Ancestry and stuff like that. I'm very interested in my family, where they're from historically. I'm English, Irish, and French, dash of Native American in there. But one of my ancestors enjoyed some flavor, but that's neither here nor there. I would like to be able to go all the way back to the Irish town that my great 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 whoever was from. Yeah, that's nice and dandy, but what else are they doing with that DNA, dude? And you're just forfeiting it. You're just giving it up. Yes, in exchange for some family tree information, but at what cost? How do you know that's not being cloned or altered or taken advantage of in a sinister way in some lab somewhere? Oh, well, they're not going to do that. Why wouldn't they? Well, because it's illegal. Dude, do you understand how much illegal shit all of these companies and governments get away with on a daily basis? And people are really so naive to think that they're not just because it's illegal. Come on, dude. Again, like, we have to stop being so naive about the world. We have to. We have got to wake up and use our brains and think critically and analyze and not be so emotional and not just jump to conclusions. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the broader spectrum of what I'm getting at here and just how scary this stuff is? We even volunteer our location to Uber so it knows where to pick us up. Okay. And then they wonder why advertisers know where we live. Oh, you live by a lake, you get ads for safety vests and canoes and shit like that. You live in the woods, you get ads for hatchets and saws. Do you see what I'm saying? And yes, I understand Uber is convenient. For some people, it's their only mode of transportation. For others, it's a side hustle. I get it. But can we just, like, can we leave the surface level for 2 seconds? Okay, that what I'm getting at is we are constantly being monitored, and we have done this willingly. Willingly. Do you think that before any of this stuff existed, like, life just didn't move? People couldn't get around. People couldn't open their front door. People couldn't turn on a television. What do you even think the 40s was like? You didn't have fucking Uber. You hailed a cab. You know what I mean? And you knew where the cabs were and where they congregated, so you went over there. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, that's why I say it's sinister what it is, and it's just surveillance dressed up as convenience at the end of the day. And convenience is the leash. And most people, they just gladly wear the collar. And I do some of these things too, dude, because it's so bad you can't escape it. You can't escape all of it. You cannot use Uber, but you have a smartphone. You don't use Uber and you get rid of the smartphone, well, you got a TV. Well, you're walking down the street where there's all of these cameras. Dude, it's just impossible now because of the fact that we allowed it to happen and we allowed it to get to this point, you know? And really the final nail in the coffin was social media. Dude, I mean, that took it to levels previously unprecedented. Even, yeah, the Patriot Act was a huge overreach by the US government. I mean, social media really took this to the stratosphere, because privacy didn't just become rare, dude, like, it became suspicious. Do you understand, like, the culture of social media? I don't have a social media. I have it for the sake of this channel, just so that I could have it. But as soon as I left high school, and maybe in high school I had 5 pictures on my Instagram, I deleted all of them, okay? Because I think it's stupid. I was never into the social media thing. Thankfully, I'm blessed enough, thank God, I was born in a time where I got to taste the end of the 90s. I was born in 98. So the end of the 90s, kind of the culture, I'm not saying the decade, like the culture, the early 2000s was like my upbringing, So I was still climbing trees. I was riding bikes. I was playing street hockey. I was cliff jumping into lakes and, going fishing, playing hooky with my papa and catching trout, ending up in the school paper because of it and getting caught up by my teacher. That I can get into that another day. But, I got to experience real life and have a real childhood, and then was still able to embrace technology as it came, innovation as it was rolled out, because I was young enough to grasp it. So I'm extremely tech savvy. However, I'm not into the whole, like, the way Gen X or these fucking iPad kids are today, dude. I'm so glad that wasn't me, because I can only imagine what kind of, you know, ramen noodle brains they're gonna have. Unfortunately, it really is unfortunate. I don't just mean to shit on them. It's like, that's just their world, and it sucks, because what's the world going to look like in 70 years? Who knows if it's even going to be, if it even will resemble a world as we know it, but um anyway, I never post because I'm a private person. And I know that's funny because I'm on YouTube, here's my face card and stuff like that, but I'm not posting my government or anything like that. And even if I get doxxed, I mean, okay, so what? I mean, I'm not encouraging it, but I've just always been a private person. And now that is weird. That is suspicious. If you meet somebody, like people meet me, oh, what's your handle? Oh, what's your Instagram? I don't have it. And I say that because I don't use it. I maybe follow like 60 accounts and I don't even open the app. I mean, I literally don't even use it. And people think that is weird. They think you're weird for that. So there's now been this culture of, like, why aren't you being surveilled like all of us? You know what I mean? That's kind of how I view it. If you don't share, people assume you're hiding something or hiding from something, or you have weird, sinister intentions, or, God forbid, something far worse. We've turned life into a highlight reel, and it's always just like, here's what I ate. Here's where I am. Here's my kid's face and name and what time they play soccer practice and when I walk away to get them lemonade and when they'll be unattended. And all of, like, just giving all of this information to those who may not have the best of intentions, and it's just all gift wrapped for anybody to use, anybody to access, right? And like, if you think about, again, like the 40s and stuff, like, high school girls used to lock their diaries, like literally lock it. Diaries came with locks, not even to be funny, but now people live stream their therapy sessions for strangers, literally, like, go in, hit live stream, and they're talking to their therapist. It's so bizarre, dude. The idea nowadays of keeping something to yourself is almost like antisocial in a way. You're weird for not oversharing in today's culture, because they trick you. They trick you into thinking that you still own your data, right? Because you clicked I agree on 47 pages of legal jargon that you didn't read. Nobody reads the terms and conditions of these apps and websites. Nobody, not one person can ever say that they actually read this. I'm not even convinced the ones who write it actually wrote every word, especially with AI. You know what I mean? You don't own it. You don't own your data. You don't own anything when you sign up for whatever. You don't. You license it to corporations indefinitely. Do you understand this? And the worst part, dude, once your info is out there, you cannot claw it back. It's the internet. Even with these sites and things that claim to scrape the internet and get your data, all they're doing is going to these brokerage firms that have your data and sell it to those who run ads and things like that so they can target you, whatever the case may be. All they do is go to these different firms, and they just say, like, hey, remove this person. But that's only one out of how many thousand are you in now? You download 5 apps and who knows where it goes after that. And then on top of that, you're never going to get it back from the government. It's out there, dude. It's the internet. It's forever, So In a way, it's like toothpaste out of the tube, like good luck putting it back in. You accidentally squirt too much, like rude boy, you're just going to have an extremely minty tongue today, you know? So I don't know. I guess to kind of summarize it, man, is just you didn't lose privacy. We didn't lose privacy, not at all. No, no, no. We handed it over willingly. Like we weren't forced to do this. We just did it, for convenience, for likes, for free Wi-Fi, for faster shipping. You know, we really sacrificed our privacy for all of the above. And now we live in a world where being left alone is the most expensive luxury at all, you know? Why do you think many people, and myself included, just want to get away from it all? So, anyway, man, smash that like button, drop a comment, let me know what you think down below. Do you agree with this? Are you just as paranoid as I am? Let me know. Subscribe if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for sitting through another one. Meeting adjourned.